me tell you today, if your insurance should discriminate you because of the state of your mental wellness, you can take them to court. My friends, you can go to court.
Take it back.
Those things have changed now under the new act.
Yeah.
Because we have, yes, it has changed. It is a requirement that there's no HMO that can discriminate you.
Wow.
By virtue of your mental illness.
No. Hello, my name is Sylvia Kasanga. Welcome to the Ages and Stages podcast. And today I have my lovely co-host, the one, the only,
D. Welcome to the Ages and Stages podcast.
Mm-hmm. And the Ages and Stages podcast becomes a podcast where we talk about the intersection between formal education and what we're learning from life. And life can teach you. D, has it been teaching you some things lately?
The school of life. I'm dropping out. I'll be a dropout.
Dropout from the school of life is about to be terrible. In what class? 7? Terrible.
I saw this meme. My sister posted this meme. It was like, so wenye tumefunzwa na ulimwengu tunafunga lini?
Because we need a break.
We're done. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about the Ages and Stages podcast. We have a special guest. But before we talk about this, D, what age and stage are you on?
I'm 36. That's my age. I'm a toddler mama.
Ooh la la.
Yeah,
Shadow,
and I've just started
Mado.
to deal with the ghetto of toddlerhood. Like sickness that I never, you never anticipate these things. You deal with gas, you deal with, little inconveniences of being a new mom. But like first ever now dealing with an illness, a child who's ill. And look, that's why I look like this today. It's been hectic.
You look beautiful. You look beautiful, love. You look beautiful.
Thanks, that's kind. And then, just in the age and stage where I'm trying to balance everything. Being a partner, being a mom, being working,
Ooh la la.
life, equate to like
Juggle.
juggling so many
It's like
balls. But
spinning plates, Wow.
So, yeah. And you? What age and stage are you at?
Well, I never know. On different days,
The
I'm in
viewers
different
have been
age and
complaining.
stages.
What age is Beldina? Tell us.
Beldina is at the age where you don't say age. Come on. Nini hizi vitu mnanipa pressure nazo. Lakini the age and stage where I really know myself. I'm at a place where I'm loving life, I'm loving moving around, I'm loving my job, I'm loving every relationship that I have. And yes, I'm in a relationship. Yes, maybe. We'll see. Don't come for me, people. But yes, loving everything about life, but also beginning to get the pressures of life. The other day, for the first time, my mother has been begging for this baby.
Okay.
And I'm like, Ma, at what time?
Yeah.
Between Nigeria, Ghana, and being home and then back out,
Yeah.
when do I carry this
by
baby?
the way, I survived Nigeria. I said in the last episode, I will let you know whether I survived Nigeria. Clearly, I'm here. I'm back. I survived Nigeria.
Well.
We'll talk about that in one of the upcoming episodes.
One of them needs a proper breakdown. Me, I'll tell you how I went to the embassy yesterday. Terrible time.
Yeah.
But anyway, still doing it and still going completely. And today we have a guest, a lovely, beautiful guest. And I want to just read her accolades.
Please.
Today we have a lady by the name Senator. I would say Senator. Senator Sylvia Kasanga. And let me tell you, this girl has so much under her belt. I have to read it out.
Please do.
Let me explain. Now, Sylvia, award-winning health champion, practicing architect, educated, none of this nonsense, educated, please, and 20 years of experience in the construction industry as an arbitrator. I'm coming. I have not even mentioned Senator.
You haven't yet. Okay.
Now, she is the founder and MD of Sikkim Solutions Company. Crazy, right? Which is about architectural and construction management. She's also served in the parliament.
Ooh.
She
wears all the hats. I love it.
She's like 1, 2,
I
3.
love it.
And the way we've been talking about balance.
Yeah.
But you,
I'm here trying to balance 3 hats.
She's talking
She's
17.
like,
And she's actually served in the 12th Parliament as a senator.
Yeah.
So once a senator, always a senator in this Kenya. Please, recognize. Ukikutana naye unasema senator.
Yes,
Salute.
salute.
Boss. Come on. And then we're talking about the one person who actually introduced the Mental Health Amendment Act in 2022. The first Kenyan Mental Health Amendment Act
How bloody impressive.
that actually got passed.
Yeah.
And is in government, works really, really well. And
Yeah.
we'll be talking to her about it. She's published several articles as well. We're talking about being the vice chair in a task force looking at legal pending bills in Nairobi County. So
Hallelujah.
kama uko na deni, usimtafute. And they're talking about upgrading Thika Town.
Yeah.
She's also part of a committee that
Oh,
is working on this
wow.
as
Yeah.
well. I'm telling you, she is qualified. And just to be able to tell you more about herself, introducing the one, the only Senator Sylvia Kasanga.
Hi, Beldina and Dee.
Hello.
I'm so
What's
happy to be
good?
here today. You guys are so full of life. I'm so encouraged.
Yeah.
I am. I love it when I have people around me who are full of life.
Yeah.
My name is Sylvia, as you have heard, and I couldn't be happier to be here with you today to share my story. Yeah.
Very, very
Get
nice.
to know me a little bit more.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I'm always happy to share. You know, in life.
Yeah.
You mentioned about School of Life. I'm sorry you can't drop off. Hapo,
We have to learn the school of life.
Utakaa hapo, no choice. we are still in the school of life today.
Yeah.
So you hang in there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's
I mean,
coming.
enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
And Sylvia, Senator Sylvia, correction, please. What age and stage are you at?
Woo. Okay. Do I do like Beldina and not say my age?
You can say it or not say it. Mimi, I'm like, don't come for me, please.
It's whatever you're comfortable with.
Actually, I don't mind sharing. I love my age. I am 46 years old this year.
What?
Yes, and
Siri ya urembo.
yes, and I can tell you, I'm at that age where the clouds have cleared from my mind.
Wow.
So there's a lot of self-awareness. There's a lot of self-loving.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of acceptance of mistakes made in the past
Okay.
and riding the wave of what the future holds. I've become a yes person. Yes, of course, to good things that come your way without doubting or fear. You know, trying to fight the fear that stops us from being able to move forward. So that is my space today. And I love it. It's a space I absolutely love. Mother. Yeah, I've been a mother. I'm a mother of two girls, two beautiful girls, preteens. No, one's
Hi,
a teenager, one's a preteen, and that comes with another wave that you have to ride another school. School of life.
School of life.
School of life inakwanga na these stages that are crazy. You think you finished one stage, you get into the other, and then
Yeah.
you find, okay. Great. So the stage of life, you graduate in levels. So you
Yes.
finish one level, and then you move to the next. So I mean, that's this level of teenage children, and the level of acute self-awareness, which is beautiful. And it's very interesting now juggling those two alongside my career.
The acute self-awareness part is the part that's really encouraged me, because you're literally 10 years on the dot older than me, looking 10 years younger than me.
She is looking hot.
Yeah, but
Siri ya
I
urembo,
love,
please.
yeah, but I love when you say about the clouds have cleared. Is it that thing of life begins at 40?
Maybe it is.
Okay.
Maybe it is. But
Okay.
there's a lot. I think having served in Parliament the last 5 years, by the way, the public service, what I encountered is a roller coaster. Unapigwa hivi, left, right, and center, your panel beaten, unapigwa msasa mpaka. Yani, if you don't take a learning from it, then really you have missed the point. You've really missed the point a lot. My experience was that has honed every skill set that probably I had, but had never really used. It was honed in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So as I come out of public service, settling back into my life, I am so self-aware of myself, my strengths, what I want, what I don't want.
How to go for it.
I know which direction I must go.
I like that.
I love that.
Really,
things
really
like
nice.
that. I love that.
I do as
Yeah.
well. And here comes a question. You just mentioned public service, and for me, this is something interesting because I look at leadership, especially in a country like Kenya. The stereotypes that surround leadership. First of all, we've seen a lot of men go into leadership, and for me, hearing that you're a senator, first of all, just gives me like chills because I'm so jazzed about it. But then the second thing is this: how do you even maneuver that such kind of a stereotypical kind of environment, really, when you're looking to vie? What made you first of all go into public service, really?
For me, it was a nominated seat, so I didn't run for politics. So I didn't have to go and convince people to vote for me. It was nominated by virtue of the work that I did at the party level, because there are many ways you can get into parliament. One way is to work your ass through the party until the party gives you recognition by nominating you into one of the two houses. That was my avenue. I didn't go into that. But as you get there, I mean, the stereotypes for nominated senators are probably even worse, because what you're told is that you're flower girls or your girlfriends of your party leaders. You're going to be useless. No. Those are, it's really bad. I mean, when you get out there, you will not believe the mud that is slung on young women
Who are going
and
into
women
leadership.
generally who are trying to get into the leadership space.
Wow.
But what works is just when you're focused. I was focused. I went in there, I went to serve. And within a year of my time there, it was clear this girl is here to serve.
So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what
you
they
just
thought.
have to, shut, the noise out and just focus. And that's what I did. I just focused. I knew 5 years is a short time. You don't get the privilege of being in the house. And you have to make a change. You cannot live after 5 years with nothing, no legacy. That was clear in my mind. Yeah? So I just focused. And within a year, I was given the space to work because they realized this one means this one means business. Yeah.
Wow. That is quite exciting to hear.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
really
yeah.
exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that during this period of time, this is when you come up with the whole Mental Health Act.
Yes.
How does that even come about? Why is this the area that you actually chose to go impact in terms of that?
Yeah. The story of the mental health journey is a beautiful story, because when I got into parliament, I can assure you that was not on my mind, but I was desperately trying to find a cause. Again, 5 years is a short time, and it's easy to go through 5 years with nothing. And I saw it happen to a lot of my colleagues. I was so desperate between 2017 and mid of 2018 to find that thing to run with. What am I going to run with? What will I be known for? What will my legacy in parliament be? Now, I remember calling the youths in Makueni, because I identify politically with Makueni County.
Okay.
So I called the youth. At that time, they were very well organized under the former governor. It was easy for me to reach them through, and they came to my office. And I said to them, hey, you guys, you have a second senator. What can I do for you? And they had a whole list of issues. In Kenya, you ask somebody, what are your problems? My goodness.
So they'll unleash a scroll, like in Game of Thrones.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's a whole list that was presented to me.
Unemployment.
Oh, you can
Health issues.
Money.
You can imagine all the issues our young people have. But what really struck me, and I remember circling it, was the issue of drug use and abuse that happens along the Mombasa Road Highway. Now, if you know your geography,
Back it up.
yes,
Drug use and
abuse,
that
yes.
happens on Mombasa Road.
on along Mombasa Road. If you know Makueni County, if you know your geography, Makueni County is one of the counties that has the longest exposure to Mombasa Road. So there are little truck stop towns, quite a number of them along Mombasa Highway. So what happens to the young people when they drop out of school, whether it's standard 8 or because they don't have school fees or they can't get into university, they end up in those towns to do odd jobs in the pubs and everything. And they end up, getting into drug use and abuse.
But
With
why
the little monies
that
that
section?
they have.
Why that
Is it
section
because
of
of
the
the
road? Is
trucks
it because
from the
Because of
coast?
trucks. Yeah, you
Okay.
see, the trucks attract economic activity.
Yeah.
Any truck stop is an economic activity. It's
Yeah.
because they pass by there at night, they
They have
spend
to
money.
stop, yeah.
They have to stop, spend the night, they spend money, and then they go. So they are like an economic activity,
Oh,
really.
okay.
Yeah. So it pulls the unemployed into the little
Oh,
towns
okay.
from the
I
villages
didn't know that.
and things like that. So I was very keen on that, and I remember circling it and thinking, okay, fine. Mine is a nominated seat. I don't have a budget, but I am influential. What can I do? So I told these young people, let me think and simmer on this one. and then I'll come back to you. And at that point in time, I had a small program that I had initiated with some Polish doctors where we're giving maternal healthcare machines to mothers in the rural areas in Makueni, just to monitor mother and baby. So we're having a meeting that evening. And I remember just asking one of the Polish doctors, I have this thing in my mind. How do you address drug use and abuse in your country? And he said, you need to look at your mental health laws.
What?
Mental health? I asked him. He said, yes, mental health.
Did
I'm
you
like,
have any laws
how is
at
that
time?
even? I'll get there. Beldina, relax, because I
He's
I
coming.
want you to see how the thing became the thing.
I am quiet.
The thing became the thing. So in my mind, I'm thinking mental health, drugs. I couldn't see the connection. So one of the local doctors we were with decided, you know what? Let me bring you a psychiatrist to your office to talk to you. So within a week, they had organized for me a psychiatrist, Dr. Kitazi. She had been the superintendent at Madare Hospital for over 10 years. She came to my office and we sat for 4 hours. She had time for me. And she gave me what I call mental health 101, class 101. Isn't that the first one you get when you go to Campo?
The one you're giving me right now.
That one. I got mental health 101 from that wonderful lady.
What year was this?
This was in 2018.
Wow.
Goodness
I was just
gracious,
about
okay.
a year into the Senate, desperately trying to find something.
Yeah.
And she tells me this is what mental health is, the health and well-being of your mind. And problems of mental health, start from basic stresses, the basic stress in life. When you're that stressed and you're not coping with your stress, you're mentally unwell. And they can expand and expound into anxieties, into depression, clinical depression, and the full spectrum up to the adverse mental health issues that schizophrenia and bipolar and adverse, and others that come even combined. There are people who get these combinations of mental illnesses.
Yes.
Then more important, of course, she did, differentiate between the issues that come because of, say, genetics, and the ones that we want to deal with are the ones that are caused by the elements around us in our environment. The ones that are caused by environmental factors of whether it is finance, money, relationships, war, hunger, poverty. Those ones are the ones we really needed to address critically. So after getting my 101 lesson and understanding, oh, you mean? Now, I personally had gone through therapy several years back. By virtue of the work that I do, architects are usually very stressed. Our work is extremely stressful work. And I remember suffering anxiety to a point where I used to have even, sleepless nights, panic attacks and things like that.
Oh, dear.
And I remember going through therapy for about 4 months. So I said to her, you mean at that point in time I was mentally unwell? She says, yes, you were mentally sick. And you were treated through therapy because there are many forms of treatment for mental health. So you know what? That's when the light bulb, just goes bam in my mind. I'm like, damn. So many of us are sick and we don't even know we are sick. By the time I saw us as psychologists those days ago, I had suffered so much. You go to hospital for diagnostics because you're sick. According to you, you're sick. You have heart palpitations, you have migraines that won't go away. And our hospitals, you know how they are. Diagnostics after diagnostics, you pay lab, you pay, I don't know what. I did ultrasounds from my toes. I did even heart machines. Nobody's telling you what you need is to see a psychologist. You need to have your mental wellness also evaluated.
Yeah.
Because you've done this so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent so much money on diagnostics until one general practitioner one time said, Sylvia, I think you need to see this person. And they give me this go and see this person. The psychologist talked to her. And I remember saying to that doctor that time, no, I don't need to see a psychologist.
I'm not mad.
Niko sawa.
Yeah.
But then back to hospital again with several migraines, I realized, you know what? What does it hurt? I meet this person. Within the first 2 sessions, they've identified what's wrong with me. They put me on a treatment therapy regime for months. I am fine. I'm feeling okay. I have started taking care of my mental wellness. I have become more mentally aware of myself. I have learned to balance work-life balance. The things that bother us. Work-life balance. I picked up dancing. Beldina, that's when I picked up my salsa dancing. And I realized I have to place that in front. I started doing my yoga. is a way to balance out my
like
stress.
literally picking the things
Yes.
that bring you joy to
Yeah,
balance
to
out.
balance the
I
stress
said
of
earlier
every
that
day.
juggle is the
Yes.
thing that I'm struggling
Yeah,
with.
you have
It's-
to have that. You must have
yeah.
that to be fully productive,
Yeah.
because, mental health is about being able to be fully productive. You can't dismiss that you will have stresses in life. Those ones will come. But how will you cope
With them.
So that, yes, I'm stressed, but I'm still able to pick my phone calls. I'm still able to send the emails. I'm still able to attend my meetings. I'm still able to give love to my children and be present with them and my spouse and all those other things, That is the question.
Yeah.
Coping skills.
That is a question.
Listen,
The
for
coping
me,
skills.
that's
Yes.
everything you've mentioned is like a
Yes.
checklist of all the
Yes.
things that go out the window. When I'm struggling with my mental health, I will not pick calls. I will
Yes.
not text back. I'm not emailing back. Forget I exist.
Yes.
I need a holiday.
Don't look
Goodbye.
at me. Don't perceive me. And I'm just so I'm just so curious. I lived with an architect in Australia, right? And I mean, looking back now, I'm like, okay, was he stressed? But like, what was it about your architecture job that caused you that much anxiety? Was it the kind of clients where you were getting? Was it the kinds of jobs you were getting? Were you thinking, I've drawn this and I've missed an angle here? I've missed I haven't scaled the diagram correctly. See, I know this lingo because I lived with an architect.
They're not paying me.
Yeah.
I did this work. Hakuna mtu analipa. What's happening?
The surveyor has messed up. And anyway, what was the...
It's a high...
What in particular was stressful about the career?
Architecture is a high pressure job first. But what makes it so intense is because it's personal. When I draw, I've poured my heart out. So when I'm not appreciated, when my work is not appreciated, either by being paid or by it being executed the way I want it to be executed, it's a form of rejection that I can't explain. That one you'll need a psychologist to explain to you the complexity of that kind of rejection where I've poured my heart out in way of design.
Okay.
You
I
know?
get it. I get it now.
It's very
Personal.
architecture
Okay.
is so personal. And the profile of most architects you'll find are deeply introverted.
Yes.
Which is another problem.
Yes.
We are deeply introverted.
Yeah.
That
Well, if I go
personality.
by my friend who I lived with,
most
yes,
of us
he's
are
very
deeply introverted. So I deal and cope with my rejection internally, which is not good. We don't
Okay.
speak out enough. We don't,
Wow.
we don't get out there enough. We prefer to sit in our bubble.
Right.
And those are the challenges that cause us a lot more stress.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I didn't
It's
know
very
that about
interesting.
architecture.
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Then
I
they're
didn't know
sounding
that.
artistic,
Yeah, it's like there's a
very-
creative element.
It is
element.
creative.
You're very
And
creative.
yeah,
is
although
creative.
it's a profession, I'm
Yeah.
hearing from you now
It's
that
very
although it's a
creative.
profession,
Yeah.
I can be an architect and you're an architect.
Yeah.
But whatever we produce is completely determined by who we are.
It is
not
you. It is your
literally-
personal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a personal work. Yeah.
That's very
Wow.
interesting.
Yeah. So if I'm to go back to the journey of mental
Yes.
health,
yeah.
is when after I met with Dr. Kitazi and this bulb thing came to my mind and I said to her, Daktari, oh my goodness, Kenyans need to know this. What do I need to do? Doctor, what do I do? And she said, Sylvia, just look at the Mental Health Act. If you can give us that, you change the narrative.
Okay.
And there my work was cut out. My work was cut out. My next stop, Ministry of Health, Directorate of Mental Health. I meet this guy, Dr. Juguna. He meets me at a corridor somewhere and says, oh, I'm just acting director and I don't have an office. I can't offer you tea. We have no budgets. What can I do for you, Senator? I'm like, Daktari, I want to change the mental health laws. I could see in his eyes he was not convinced.
He's like, yeah, are you
This
Delulu?
small girl.
With Sululu.
Yeah. Okay. These are some of the things we had done previously. Take them and all the best. So I took what he gave me. They had tried to amend the law somewhere along the way. I can't remember in which parliament. They didn't succeed. And this is the ministry. Then I go to parliament. I go to my parliament draft, the person in charge of legal drafting. I say, I want to change the law. Because I had found out that the law, in fact, before that, we had done a research through Parliament. Parliament, by the way, our Parliament has the best researchers, you will not believe.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, they have the best researchers. You just need to write a letter that I need this research on my desk within a week. And pop, I had researched that, mental health, the Mental Health Act of that time in this country was one of 1989. It was the kind of mental health act that calls people lunatics.
It was literally
Yeah,
ancient.
1989.
Literally.
Like literally 1989. No recognition
of modern day
of
times.
somebody who's mentally ill as a human being.
Yeah.
You're just a lunatic. That's a word
Yeah.
that was in the act.
I remember
That's
back in
how
the
bad
day
it
when
was.
when you're told someone is in Madare, they're cooked.
Yeah.
Me, when I hear,
Lunatic.
what
Yeah.
Madare, when I used to hear mental health,
Yeah.
I am not thinking stress. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
who you crazy?
Yeah.
Probably eating
No, but we didn't even have
things
the
on the
language,
road.
The
mental
madman in
health.
the streets.
We
Yeah,
had
that one.
wazimu.
Wazimu.
We didn't have
Okay.
mental health.
Yes.
We had wazimu.
Yes.
Huyu mtu ni wazimu ameenda Madare.
And it
Huyu
was
mtu ni
either
wazimu
or.
ameenda
Yes.
Madare.
You're either wazimu
Yeah.
or you are okay. There's no in between. That is something that could be elements from where to do
Yeah.
what.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So the legislative drafter got me a drafter, specific one to work with me. We got whatever the ministry gave us. We got best practice from jurisprudence from around the world. I mean, you do research, you get the best, you bring it on board. There had been one member, I think, who had also tried through, with the help of Kenya National Human Rights Commission, he had tried to put a bill for mental health that didn't go anywhere. We took that as well. We took everything and we combined it. And why it is called a mental health amendment bill is because in Senate, we couldn't emanate a new act of parliament. Because then it requires, I mean, there's this requirement that if it has to do with money, if it has to do with any money coming from the exchequer, such a bill can only come from National Assembly. So it had to be an amendment bill. I mean,
to amend the old
the
ancient.
old ancient one, which we were practically just
Throwing out
into
really.
everything.
Yeah.
But it was fine. We were happy to go with amendment bill.
Yeah.
And we combined everything and we came up with this bill and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we published it December. I remember it was November 2018 when it went for publication.
Wow.
And the minute it was published, oh my goodness, it's like fireworks. The industry suddenly woke up. They're like, damn, everyone woke up. We even had our first stakeholder forum in December 2018 that was organized by stakeholders, not even by me. I did not spend any money with the mental health bill. It was stakeholders who did that
Incredible.
thing.
Incredible.
They came together. From their hood, CBOs who work in different cocoons, different organizations that work because of the gaps that there are. There are lots of people working in different places, doing different things on mental health in their own little way, changing the communities and changing the spaces where they are. They all came together. Let me tell you, they came together. That is what a bill does. It brings people together. And together we worked on that bill. By the time it was introduced in the House for the first reading and we had our official public participation, I had already over 120 partners we were working with. It was crazy. You should see the mailing list that I had, because then I learned how to use social media to communicate. Any changes, any conversations.
Excellent.
And the Kenya National Human Rights was very good. They provided a platform where all stakeholders could bring their views. So we were able to collate that bill into something that is absolutely beautiful, that now places the mental ill person at the focal point for his rights. And it is a beautiful, beautiful bill. So, in fact, I keep saying that my biggest contribution to the bill itself is the role of the counties, the role of the national government and the role of the counties, because health is a devolved function. And I was very clear in my mind, having understood what mental health is and the amount of work we needed to do around it, we placed a lot of obligation on the county government. A lot of work to be done on, raising awareness, fighting stigma, community health workers going door to door and having county-specific programs that are dealing on matters mental health. And let me tell you, that journey was beautiful. After we published that bill, 2019, it went for first reading, second reading. Senators contributed to it. It stayed on the order paper for 3 weeks running because every senator wanted to contribute to it.
Wow.
I even captured their voices in a little publication called Many Faces of Mental Health, where I captured some, comments of each of the senators who spoke, because they were like, who ever imagined they can speak to mental health at such a national
Level.
platform? Yet it's something that affects
Everybody.
each one of us.
Yes.
In fact, each of those senators had a personal story. Let me tell you
About
a
mental health.
personal story about mental health.
What did I say in our last episode? In
Yeah.
Nairobi, you need a team of therapists.
Therapists.
You do.
Because
You do.
where?
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
You can say where. It is where.
Yeah.
It's where. It is where. Because let's not forget the statistics at the time when we started. Okay, we don't have our own local data. In 2018, we didn't have our own local data on how bad our mental health situation is. So we're using World Health Organization data,
WHO.
that 1 in 4 Kenyans suffer from a mental illness. 1 in 4.
One in what?
1 in 4.
So one of us in this room.
1 in 4.
Me, I nominate
Yeah.
Wanini.
Wow.
I love you.
Okay. You think you know people till they get in front of the camera.
Now, my dear wonderful ladies, 1 in 4.
Yeah.
That is 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Weka COVID, 2020.
Three
Weka
or four.
election.
Four out of 4.
Ongeza election.
You know,
Contested election.
Tax.
wait.
Ongeza
Do you know
Ongeza
what,
KRA.
sasa tax.
do you know what you're
KRA.
saying? We're talking
Ongeza price
52
of
million.
petrol.
Yeah.
A minimum of 15 million Kenyans
Yeah.
are suffering from mental health.
Yeah.
Issues.
Ongeza price of onions.
And me, if you ask me, if you ask me today, if we had the capacity to take the data today, I am telling you those statistics
4
are much
out of 4.
worse than
Yes.
that.
Yes. They're 4 out of 4.
And that's the reality we deal with.
Where?
So fast
Now,
forward,
yeah.
tukamaliza mambo ya bill. In between it died, then it was revived because of the Senate wars and whatnot. It was revived and everything, and we managed to fast track it. It went to National Assembly. It's a bicameral house, so bills have to go to both houses. In the National Assembly, they added all money requirements. They were added there so that we can expand our level 5s and 6, all of them to accommodate mental health and to integrate mental health into the direct healthcare. By that, what I mean, and this I have to speak to.
Yes, please.
It means that if today you go into a level 3, level 4
Hospital. Which would be like, which one in Nairobi?
level 4 is like,
Magathi Hospital?
yes, like Magathi Hospital.
Okay.
Because level 5 is now heading towards national, yeah?
Okay.
In Machakos, it would be the level 4 hospital in Machakos, like that one, yeah? The idea is that when you walk in, you've gone to consultation room 1, they have checked your physical self and they can't see anything. They can send you to consultation room number 2 or number 3 because there's a psychologist there who will also evaluate your mental health.
No.
That is what we call integration. We are saying, let's not build mental health institutions. No, we are running away from institutionalization. The world has moved beyond institutionalization.
Yeah.
But we
Take a
need to
holistic approach.
integrate.
Yeah.
Consultation room 1, they check your stomach, your head, I don't know what.
BP.
Wow.
Yeah.
Consultation room 3, your mental wellness is also checked. So by the time you leave that hospital, you've gotten a wholesome review on yourself.
Oh, wow.
That's what we mean.
So
that's,
that's
what the bill,
now-
that's what the act.
The amendment.
Yes.
The Mental Health
Amendment
Amendment Act.
Yes.
What it does for me
Yes.
is integrated.
Yes.
That I'm not secluded. I'm not feeling like I am crazy by myself.
Yes.
I'm not stigmatized.
Exactly.
And you're not thinking that you're suffering from a physical condition that you
Yes.
can't see, whereas it's a mental condition that you don't know.
You got that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
even just to speak to the accessibility, the other day I was speaking to someone, her daughter goes to like a regional high school and her daughter suffers from mental health issues. And she was saying at the school they offer free
Psychosocial support. Yes.
free
Psychosocial support,
I was
yes.
so impressed. I had never
Yes.
known that happens in Kenya.
Yes.
I had never known. In a public school.
No.
She's offered private. It's private.
private school.
She's offered psychosocial services because it's drug related as well to overcome her addiction.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she's like, I couldn't have afforded to have these services for my child. But
Yes.
now in school she can get these services.
Yes.
How amazing is
I
that?
like that word,
Yeah.
integrated.
Yeah.
That's something that has stood out
That
for
is
me today.
very
The
critical.
integration, because
Yeah.
stigma can really make you not seek for help.
Absolutely.
It can really make you not
Yeah.
even
People
try.
Yeah.
But then now, if someone knew this, if they walk into a hospital, and I hope
Yeah.
if you're out there and you are listening to this
Yeah.
and you need help, walk into a hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
Senator
Get that,
right here
yeah.
has said, you guys, you can get your help.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is this covered under like the thing-
Insurance.
the insur-
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you today,
Uh-huh.
if your insurance should discriminate you because of the state of your mental wellness, you can take them to court. My friends, you can go to court.
Take it back.
Those things have changed now under the new act.
Yeah.
What?
Because we have, yes, it has changed. It is a requirement that there's no HMO that can discriminate you
Wow.
by virtue of your mental illness.
No.
Yes, that is by act. And the other thing I have to just bring out
Yeah.
Yes, please.
that is very critical about the Mental Health Amendment Act of 2022 is the rights of people living with mental illnesses, because that now actually forms the body of the act. Because we must recognize even that person who's mentally unwell is a human being and they have rights. and there's a way they can be managed. So
Yeah.
it goes into the management and the rights of people living with mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So those issues of, somebody's family has gone and locked up somebody because they want their wealth, those things are now things of the past. Even how to administer estates of people with mental illness, all that is addressed
In the act.
Yes, it's a very comprehensive act. These were provisions that were brought by people living with illnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were supported by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights.
Yeah.
And they are such significant provisions. And I can tell you how it has made such a big difference to the people living with mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So
That's incredible.
it's a
the
game
passion
changer.
is leaking.
Like,
I
it's a
can,
game
yeah, I
changer.
can
Okay,
feel
me,
the
me have
passion you
goosebumps
have
already. I'm like, what?
for this body of work you've done, and it's so impressive.
Yes,
It's it's really encouraging. It's so impressive. Even more so that a woman championed this.
Yes.
I love it so much. I just love it.
Yes. Very, very
Yeah.
exciting. And I don't even know how to follow that up after,
For me, I
after
want
listening to that. Yes.
Well, I'll say take us back to like 15-year-old Sylvia.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
Yes,
my
please.
goodness.
Yeah.
Let's
us
take it back a different notch.
Yeah, 15-year-old Sylvia. Where was she? What was she thinking she would
Oh
be?
my
Everything,
goodness.
senator, architect.
Oh my
What was she
goodness.
thinking she would be when she grew
Oh,
up?
Lordy Lord.
Yeah.
15-year-old Sylvia.
Yeah.
Oh, where was I when I was 15? What? That's Form 1, Loreto
Yes.
Limuru. I went to high school in Loreto Limuru. I was a Cartesian. And of course, during our time, we all loved our high schools. And, you know, they molded us in a significant way. The friendships I made in high school, I have till today. And it's something I treasure a lot.
Same.
And for me, high school was just about passing exams. I don't know whether it is the system, the way it was.
Yeah.
The things that I remember the most. I remember talent days. Those were fun. But mostly it was just about, I have to pass the
academics.
exam.
Yeah.
I just remember the exams were like very central. And I didn't think beyond that. In fact,
So zero dreams at this point.
at this point, I didn't think far away. I don't know.
You didn't have pressure for you have to be a doctor,
No,
a lawyer,
no.
an architect,
I think
an engineer. Nothing.
My parents were not about that.
Okay.
It's very interesting. My parents were not about that. My holidays were about hiking. I grew up in the village. I'm a village girl. So holidays were spent hiking out in the wild in Lukenya, Beldina knows the flora and the fauna we grew up in. So
Very well.
school was mostly about talents and passing exams. And I remember in Form 4, when it was time to pick our career path, I just knew what I don't want.
Which was?
I just
Wh-
knew
which ones were the
this-
ones
this
they were
one
never
I
going
don't
to
want.
want?
Yeah.
And because I was a carebo like that, I said I don't want law because my dad was a lawyer. I don't want a law.
So you're like,
Struck
nope.
out law. Of course, medicine was never in my purview because I dropped geography. I mean, I dropped biology in Form 2. I don't like bloody situations. So really, I took a path of history, CRE, physics, chemistry, and math. I really excelled in those. And business. So it was either business related, and the options, the way they were presented to us, architecture was one of them, and building survey and economics, building and land economics was another one of them. So my choices were very limited, especially when I decided there are things that I don't want, because maybe I associate them with, certain personalities in my life. I said, I don't want this, I don't want this. So I was left with a very lean choice. So my first choice was business, admin. My second choice was architecture. My third choice was building economics, and I think land survey and economics was the fourth one. Those were my choices. I was so sure I was going for business admin. So even when I left school, that 1 year when you're out of school, waiting to be called to university.
Figuring it out.
Yeah, figuring it
I
out.
can't relate.
Yeah.
I finished school in May. I was in uni in July.
Oh.
My parents don't play.
Oh my goodness.
Mine
I
as well.
think-
But then that's
yeah.
the British system.
Yeah.
The 844
IB,
system,
for
you
the
get
844,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was always a year before you could go into university. So that
okay.
1 year,
at least a space.
there's a space to
Yeah.
breathe. But I did accounting. I remember doing my accounting courses or certificates with Strathmore. And I was very sure somehow I'll end up in Strathmore.
So you did the papers?
Yeah, I
ACCA,
did. Yes,
those
I
ones?
did all those. Yes, I did.
You're kidding
those
me. There's
in
7 of
Strathmore.
them?
You really
yes,
love
I did.
math.
I
Ish.
did. I did those. And for some strange reason, when the letters for calling came, my letter came from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, School of Architecture. It was not even my first choice.
I see God.
But when the letter came, it was for architecture.
Wow.
Right.
So now what is architecture? I don't even know an architect. My parents, my mom is in school teaching languages. My dad is a lawyer. Nobody knows architecture. I don't know any architect in my family. So I look at it with my parents and I say, you know what? Let me go to Jomo Kenyatta. First, let me find out where the hell is
Is
this
Jomo
place.
Kenyatta.
We only know UN, you know.
Yeah.
So off I go to Jomo Kenyatta. School of Architecture, I find the department, find Professor Otoki. Professor Otoki takes me through, you know, the architecture student projects that were going on and encourages me and says, you know, you're young. These days you're joining university when you're young. Come do 1 year. And if you don't like, I mean, the
can
university has
always
a
change.
system where you can change.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's what I did. And by the time I finished 1 year, I
liked
found
it.
out I could draw. I
Yeah.
found out I was a creative.
Yeah.
Oh,
I found
wow.
out how enjoyable it was and I
Yeah.
was excelling.
Actually, I think
And the rest
unis
is
should
history.
do this as a policy. 1 year to discover, please. Okay.
And then you're able to pick
Then
your...
you pick, because if
Yeah.
you're locked in, then it kind of gives you know how many people, like we said this in previous episodes, have studied something that they'll never
work in.
practice.
Yes.
But I find it interesting that you were so averse to being a lawyer,
Yeah.
and yet you're here, a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators.
I found, then let me tell you, it has called me back
yeah.
so hard that
Yeah.
I've been wondering, why did I even run
You know,
away
your-
from
your
it in
your
the
father
first
would be
place?
proud, man.
Yeah.
He'd be there clapping. He'd be like, yes, I knew it was coming.
So in Australia, I worked in trade unions. So I did a lot of alternative dispute resolution. And we would hear about the construction industry, because the construction industry has one of the strongest unions in Australia.
Oh.
Like, it's like a mafia.
No.
They're strong.
Wow.
Very nice.
Okay? It's male dominated. But they organize very, very well. They're very well organized in terms of fighting for their rights. They're very well organized in terms of fighting for, you know, like PPE, protective clothing, harsh working conditions, because in Australia the summers can get extremely hot.
Hot.
Yeah.
I've seen.
And so if you're
Heat strokes.
outside in 46-degree weather, it's going to affect you. So, you know, they're really, really strong, but it's also run like a mafia.
Yeah.
So is the architecture what birthed the alternative
Arbitration.
dispute resolution,
Ah.
or how did that come about?
How did that come about? Okay,
yeah.
first it was my dad.
Okay.
My dad was one of the people who formed the Chartered Institute here in Kenya. You know, it's there in the UK. They're the ones who brought it here in Kenya.
Yes.
So it was one of the founding
Yeah.
members of the Chartered Institute. And he kept telling me, this is good for you and it will work with your trade. And true enough, like exactly what you're saying, which is true. Building industry is one of the biggest consumers of alternative dispute resolution. In fact, our contracts refer all our disputes to arbitration currently.
Yeah.
So for me to become an arbitrator, it's so easy because then I only handle disputes in the construction industry because that is my strength.
And you understand it.
I understand it. So for me, it has been so wonderful. In fact, so wonderful. And also I'm a bit passionate. Not a bit. Actually, I am significantly passionate
Yeah.
about ADR. I
Same,
even
same.
brought a bill to
Yeah.
the floor of the house.
Yeah.
But it was shut down by the lawyers.
Oh.
Real
The
quick.
bill was shut down.
What was
you
the
know,
bill?
the Law Society of Kenya is very strong.
Yeah.
So I had introduced a bill on alternative dispute resolution. And I was requiring in the bill that all civil disputes, and I meant like all civil disputes, must first pass through
An
a
arbitration.
mediation before they go to
100%
court.
Before they go to court, because number one, you'll find a lot of them will settle at,
Yeah,
that,
they will
at that
settle.
stage.
They will settle.
Nobody wants to drag this out in court.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I'm also extremely passionate about ADR. Extremely passionate. And my mother-in-law happens
Yeah.
to be also a member of CIAB.
Okay,
And
great.
she was trying to get me into it when I got back to Kenya, but I kind of just forgot about my legal life
Yeah.
now that I work in a different field. But I'm extremely passionate about ADR, and I wish I could work in the same kind of trade union movement the way I did in Australia, because that I could do with my eyes closed.
Let me, I must emphasize something. ADR is not about lawyers. In fact, lawyers don't make good alternative dispute resolvers because
I do.
their training, their training is of an adversarial nature where
Yes.
you take the side of one person,
One person.
and you advance the cause of that one person. ADR is a neutral. As a dispute resolver, alternative dispute resolver, you're a neutral.
Yeah.
You have to hear both sides.
Yeah.
You cannot be biased.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And I like
How
to
do
say
you
this.
not get biased though?
Well,
It's
you're
a
guided
training.
Like you
by-
listen to
yeah.
something, you're like,
You're guided
I
by the
would do this.
training.
It's a training.
Okay.
It's a training. And for
Okay.
lawyers, in fact, like in the Chartered Institute, we recognize that with lawyers, you kind of have to unlearn. Lawyers have to be taught to remove their lawyer hat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And wear the dispute resolver's hat.
Yeah.
Which may not be as easy as me who comes in from my industry, as an industry expert, being taught how to become a neutral party. Yeah. And it's important. And I like to encourage people because this is a space for everybody.
Yeah.
As long as you have a certain skill set, as long as you're an expert in anything, you can be a neutral, a dispute resolver in that area that you are in. So even you, Beldina, you can be in your own space. I don't know.
I would need a capacity.
Yeah.
I would need the kind of capacity
Yeah.
And you
to
can
not
be a
take one
dispute.
side.
You will be given that
You're
capacity.
trained,
You'll
yeah,
be trained
yes.
to be able to do
To
that.
look
It's
at
a
different
training.
areas.
Yeah, it's a training that helps you then be able to
And is that why
balance.
you picked construction? Because it's an area you really understand.
Yes.
So you're able to pick an area that you actually understand
better.
and you really take.
Is always better. In fact, as arbitrators, we are advised that you're best if you're an expert at something, and then you can be an arbitrator within that space. And arbitration does not become your key profession. No, that's not the point. The point is that I continue doing my architecture business, my construction business.
Yeah.
But at the same
Then
time,
every once in a while,
I am doing this
you're
other
called
thing.
into-
Yeah,
Wow.
because then as an arbitrator, you're up to date with also what the industry
Yeah.
is doing. You're up to date. You're able to help people resolve their conflicts
Yeah.
as the industry evolves and as new things come and go. I
Yeah.
think that is important. We encourage a
Yeah.
lot more people into that space.
I mean, the thing that discouraged me, and I'll be very honest, was the fees.
Yeah.
It was 2020. It was COVID time.
Wait. Do people get paid to become an arbitrator?
No,
Back it up.
You get-
I could be
you
one.
Get paid to be, yes, you get paid to arbitrate. The fees to take the course at CIRB is what I'm talking about.
It's expensive.
How much is it?
It is expensive. It is expensive, but it's a personal. It's an
investment.
Investment.
Yeah.
I look at it as an investment. At the institute, what we do is we give you time to pay. You pay in bits and pieces until you're.
Oh, do you?
Yes. You
Like
don't
there's
pay
a
one
payment
time.
plan.
There's a payment plan.
Listen, I might pick this back
Yes,
up.
and because each course runs for 6 months, you
Yeah.
have 6 months to pay by the time you sit your exam.
Yeah.
You will not be really bad from sitting the exam, but you must finish paying by the time that bit is completed. Yeah, we realize it's expensive, but the rewards
Yeah.
are very good.
Yeah.
Let me just say.
That's what
They
my
are?
mother-in-law
The
says.
rewards
Yeah.
are very
Yeah.
good.
Me, that's all you have to tell me.
Yeah.
When you
It's
tell me you
worth
could be
the
good at it, I'm
investment.
Yeah.
like, maybe. You said there's money, I'm like, maybe we'll try.
Yeah.
It is
Really,
worth
really
the
nicely.
investment.
Yeah.
It is worth. I know it's expensive. But
Yeah,
it's
it's
worth it.
expensive, and
Yeah.
it's. I mean, look, it's something. I like. I told you, I'm extremely passionate about ADR.
Yes.
Extreme. I was saying off camera before. Before people go to court, they need to realize.
Yeah.
You know, people threaten each other. I'll take you to court. They don't understand the impact it will have on themselves, even because you go to court today, your case will be done in maybe 3 years.
Wow.
And so the time you've spent, the money you've spent, where you could shorten that time in dispute resolution with an arbitrator, mediator, somebody who can help you guys resolve issues quicker.
Yeah.
Because if when it goes in front of a judge, trust me, they're not thinking about let me mediate. They're thinking, what does the law say?
Yeah.
What do precedents say? This
Correct.
is how I'm going to rule.
Absolutely.
Now,
So-
if there's a case that is already in court, say one of our viewers has a case in court, can they shift it back to
Yes, of course.
Yes,
negotiation?
easily.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell the court, listen,
Yes.
we've decided to mediate, we've decided to
Talk
handle
about
this.
this.
You know, and the court will actually be happy because you're
Very
not wasting
happy.
their time.
Yeah.
Where
very
I'd
happy.
love to see that,
resources.
especially, is when parents have disputes about children. That I'd love to see if people could just talk it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it sounds simple because possibly I don't have children, but I'd love to
No,
see it.
it's something
Because
I
it
always
doesn't put
advise.
the children
you know, my
through so
friends
much.
who are going through those kinds of things, don't make it acrimonious because I promise you, the court doesn't care.
Yeah, the
they're
courts-
there
yeah.
to rule. They're there
rule.
to follow precedent.
Yeah.
They're there, you know, and whereas if I talk to you, we can decide to have equal custody or, you know, equal visitation rights, whatever.
That's true.
But a court will look at, you know, they'll look at it mechanically. They don't look
That's
at the
true.
human element.
That's
And
true.
At all.
that's
Let
what
me
you
just
lose.
bring it home a little bit and connect both ADR and mental wellness.
Yeah.
One of the key tenets of alternative dispute resolution is that it harnesses relationships. You see, what can be, you know, acrimonious and taken to court, and then it will degenerate to a point where even the parties will never even see eye to eye or never speak, is something that ADR
Yeah.
can fix and solve. You can actually go through a mediation of a very controversial family issue or whatever, or divorce, or you name it, but you end it. The end of which, because both parties, your interests have been taken care of in an environment that is not adversarial, you actually find that there's a mending of relationships. And that is one of the key tenets of ADR.
ADR,
And that's
yeah.
why it's being now promoted heavily. The work I did in Parliament really woke people up. If you've noticed that there's now alternative justice systems, policies already been rolled out, because we are recognizing that not all cases, I mean, in Kenya, we are who we are. Njuri Ncheke is busy also resolving disputes. And we must recognize that, yes, they are also resolving disputes. Not everything must go to court. Then we have the mediations that have become a bit more formal methods of solving disputes. All these now are being recognized under our constitution, and the judiciary has now taken on this to help Kenyans resolve their problems faster without waiting those waiting lists that you see in court. And it's beautiful, and Kenyans should be encouraged at all times to consider mediation,
100%,
negotiations.
I second that.
And those other methods.
Shout it from the rooftop.
Way before.
Yeah.
And perhaps many people don't know that this is an option for them, that the only way to resolve conflict is to
go
take
to
someone
court.
to court.
Yeah.
But if there's room to be able to negotiate and sit down,
Yeah.
then that makes sense completely.
The number
Absolutely.
one thing I learned from my legal career was so many things can be solved with a phone call.
Absolutely.
Literally.
A conversation.
A call.
Yes.
Even to the other side's
Even to the
lawyer.
other side.
Be like, listen,
Yeah.
I know you guys are asking for this, but can we sit down and talk
Yeah.
about this other thing
Exactly.
instead? Or can we talk about how my client was hurt and just needs an apology? So a lot of time people just, they go to court because they're so hurt.
Angry,
They're
ego.
so
It's
hurt.
emotional,
Yeah,
eh?
it's
They're like, I need
emotional.
to
have
hurt you the way
get
you've hurt me.
back to you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I learned that a lot of things can be
be
solved just by having a conversation.
Correct.
Sit
Yeah.
down and talk. I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm taking a different beat now, Sylvia,
Okay.
as we talk about this. During our whole session, during this podcast, season 2 has been majorly based on things to do with balance. Balance has been possibly our theme for the whole season, because we're seeing people who are doing interesting things, and we're saying, okay, they said women cannot have it all, but then I'm looking at you, you're talking senator, architect, mother. I'm like,
How do you do that?
How does that balance work?
And especially for
Yes.
me as a new mom,
Yes, please.
how
Do you do it?
do you balance your ambition, your personal ambitions, versus being a good and present mom?
Yeah.
That's a interesting question.
Let me say this. It's not easy for a woman. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but it is possible. And what has worked for me is the people who are in my life. I don't know whether to call them partners or what. But
Your village.
you have a constituent who are around you.
Yeah.
First, I have a strong family network. Beldina knows. And that is very key to my balance. Today, I can leave my children with my sister if I need to rush somewhere, if I don't have a nanny. Second is you need a good nanny. And it's always difficult when the children are really small. It's really
Very.
tough. That's why I say for women, it's a bit tough. Until the child can say, Mommy, my head is aching,
Yeah.
or, you have to
This one
depend
told
on
me this and this.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
kind of depend on that. So again,
Yeah.
that one you need. In my office, I have good partners. We've
Yeah.
grown together for the last 20 years or so. I have a good PA. You need a good PA. You need a good PA to be able to balance, to juggle all these things.
All your hats.
Yeah. So it has largely to do with the people who are around me.
Wow.
And call it God's grace that I've had such strong people working with me. That way I've been able to spread my wings. Or you can call it a deliberate investment to
In
having the right
community.
people around you so that you can spread your wings. Because without them, it will be impossible. Something will always drop. Then after that is you prioritize. You kind of have to compartmentalize. Knowing very well, you can't be a master of all. Yeah, you can't be a master of all. So if you decide to do many things that like I do, chances are that you will miss some certain
One area will
opportunities because you're doing that and that and that. So you
Yeah.
have to be alive to that fact so that it doesn't pull you down.
Yeah.
So accept that as far as mental health is concerned, this is how far I will engage on matters of mental health. I have this target, this is what I want to achieve, this is how much I'll engage. When it comes to my architecture, okay, that one is a bit more central, more prime, so it takes a slightly higher precedence. Where my children are concerned, that is like at the top of my lists. So even right now, if I get called about my children, I'm sorry, I'll
Gone.
just stand up and run.
Yeah.
I see
This
that
mic
in
will
me.
not stand in
Oh,
my
these
way.
guys know. These guys know.
The
Yes,
mic will
see
not
that.
stand in my way. Yeah.
I'll jump out the
Yeah,
balcony.
you jump and move. Yeah. So you prioritize, but being fully aware that in your compartmentalizing and in your prioritization, there are some areas that you may not maybe reach the fullest or the farthest, or you may be, sometimes you may be even be pulled, but you have to pull yourself back because there's only so much you can do to be able to do everything that you want to achieve. So there's a deliberateness there. There's a compartmentalization that is required. There's an investment towards people and partners, community who are able then to hold you as you spread your wings. I think that is how I'm able to balance. And then again, work-life balance. You will burn out if you don't balance yourself. So I'm again very conscious about my downtime. And I value my downtime. Let me tell you, I value my downtime. There are times when you'll call me, you'll not remove me from where I am because that's my time. That's my space. I have to read a book.
Fill your cup again.
You have to fill your cup again. I have to have those moments. And for me, Sundays are very critical. You go, you pray, you spend time with your girls. I rather spend time with my girls. We rejuvenate, we come home, we pass out and do nothing. And, you know, that cup fills again and you're ready for the week to go. So it has to, all that has to come in.
I mean, I have to ask because I realize these complexities happen especially in Africa, where ambitious women are viewed as problematic in the house, like domestically. How has it affected you, your love life, to be so ambitious and so at the forefront of things? Do you find that it affects or has affected your love life in the sense that men found this, she's championing this, or she's championing that, or she's a lead architect, or she has her own firm, and that kind of thing?
Yes, we do come across as intimidating. That's a fact. And whether it's the way we've been socialized from the community growing up, where the male, it's been a male-dominated society. Then incoming these, super ambitious, driven, knowledgeable women. We are not waiting for a man to make you or build you, you're fighting for your space. We do come out as, dominating, aggressive. What is the other word that I used? You name it.
The negative connotation of feminist.
Yes.
There's also the side where they tell you, no one will ever marry you.
Yes.
If you're like this.
Yes, I've had
and
those
you're like,
ones.
what is this one?
Nobody wants this strong woman in their house. Then who will wear the pants? All that I've had. And the dating scene when you're in your mid-40s is a very tough scene because you do come off as intimidating. And our men are not about that. But we women have to learn our men as well because we need them. This is not a journey we are going to walk by ourselves. And this is a conversation I've had in other forums. Even for me to excel maybe to higher levels, I'll not get there by myself or my fellow women. We actually need the men to be able to help us rise, to where we want to go. There's no question about it. Even in the career space, which is still fairly male-dominated. I mean, if you just look at some of those spaces, men will still earn the most money. They'll still be in the highest positions, you name it, where politically, I mean, you can see how top, male-heavy it is. For women to get into those spaces, we will have to work with these men. So we have to realize ourselves, yes, I am strong. Yes, I'm intentional about where I want to go. But how will I work with this man? Does it require for me to wear a hat of humbleness without necessarily compromising myself? If that is the case, then I have to take the higher road and realize then that is what I must be. I must tone myself down a little bit when I'm in certain spaces. So for me to get ahead, I mean, this is about getting ahead. If I really want to enjoy a dating scene where men don't feel that when I appear in the room, I'm so intimidating, then clearly I have to sort of tone myself down. Does that mean I'm demeaning myself? I'm not accepting myself who I am? I think not. I think it's just a matter of the mind. I've thought about this a lot. It's about the mind. It's about like play. It's like a game now we have to play. If I'm required to be like this so that I get here, sawa, I'll do it. I'll do it so that I can get some love or I can get ahead. I can get. It is also a strength. You're right.
Knowing how to move in different spaces.
In realizing the things that you have to encounter. But yes, it is a reality. And yes, as girls, I think we need to have this conversation more and more because our intention is not to put them down.
Because you see, we've some of us have grown up with Destiny's Child era, strong, independent woman, bills. I don't need no man, kind of thing. That like we've grown up with that messaging, And especially our generation, because
Yeah.
you know, our parents' generation,
Yeah.
the mothers trained us to be independent because they came from a situation where a lot of the times they didn't have a lot of choice
They didn't
in
have
partners
choices,
because
yeah.
of financial issues. Even your man is your provider, so therefore you don't question anything. You have to comply.
You
You have to
submit.
obey.
Yeah.
And so a lot of resentment came up from that generation, and then therefore they trained us as the
Yes.
girls of the next generation to be extremely independent, right? Which means you're ambitious, you're independent, and then you come and you live in this world where, and again, these are not things I thought of when I was in Australia, but when I came back to Kenya, I'm realizing so many different dynamics of
And how you move.
cultural, like I can't sit with well, I can, but like generally speaking, you can't sit with a group of like my dad's friends
Yeah.
and talk the way I would talk with you. Whereas in Australia, that's normal. It's very normal to
Yes.
It
address
is.
a group of men the way you, the way you would, the way I present myself right now.
Yeah.
I could present myself to a group of like 60-year-old
Yes.
men. You understand? I could go into rooms and fight with CEOs about people's rights. But then you find here it's taken as disrespectful, it's taken as culturally blind, it's taken as you don't know your place,
And you can lose opportunity
And,
based on
and
just how
respect.
you're moving.
And respect.
Yes.
And it's something that I've found myself again having a lot more conversations about that than I ever thought I would. And so I
It
think
makes sense.
what you say is
It's a
absolutely
very,
right.
in fact, that's a conversation for its own podcast. Just today, before I came here, we were having this conversation because I have some programs I run out in the village in Makueni. I have a program called Lead Like a Girl, and I take
What?
this Lead Like a Girl. Lead like a girl. We're saying let's be leaders, but let's lead like we are
With-
girls.
using
Let's not
your
try and be,
strengths.
yeah. Let's
Use
not try
your own
and be
strengths.
men. Yeah, let's lead like girls with our strengths. Yeah, and I remember when I first ran that program, 2 headmistresses called me aside and said, next time you must have the boys. This is a conversation that is so important. I know you're speaking to girls, but why are you leaving the boys behind? Because it's issues of emotional intelligence, issues of, bringing the best out of yourself.
Or
So today,
Issues
today,
of balance.
today, I was with a gentleman who was telling me the importance of us as young leaders who are rising. Okay, I'm still a young leader.
Yes,
I'm
100%.
still a
Please.
young leader.
Yeah.
Completely.
I'm still in the youth bracket.
Yes, we claim it too.
So as he's saying, as part of young leaders, your mandates as you continue rising up in the leadership space, you must remember we need a balanced society. You cannot just go and saying it's about the girl child. You're forgetting the boy child. The two need to coexist. We need a
100%.
balanced society.
Yeah.
So this conversation needs to change
It does.
going forward. It's about both boy and girl.
Girl. conversation.
Going
100%.
forward.
And as a boy mom, I co-sign that with my whole heart, my whole life, because it's things I want to teach my son. I want to teach him consent. I want to teach him, because when girls are, adversely treated, and you're asked what were you wearing, what did you provoke the boy? We're not teaching the boys. Do not.
Regardless of
do
whatever
not
they're
proceed
wearing.
without consent.
Yes.
So as a boy mom, trust me, that is something I can peg my whole life on. I
Yes.
want my son to know what it means to interact with a woman,
With a woman,
and the boundaries.
and a woman also who's enlightened.
Yes.
You see, because now we're in that era of enlightenment.
Yeah.
So even us girls now, as enlightened women, how do we relate with the men? The question you're asking now earlier is we ourselves who've run ahead, so empowered, emancipated,
Financially independent.
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 You realize
and looking good.
Yeah, of
Please.
course. I
Yeah.
mean, we rock the city.
Yes.
There's need for us to just calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to go around intimidating our men. We need those men
Yeah.
for a balanced society,
Yeah.
for even our own mental wellness. I
Yeah.
can tell you, I love having a man in my life.
Yes.
And I'll
Yeah.
go far away to make sure there's a man in my life here. And I have a lot of male friends by virtue of my career.
Yeah.
And it's nice having them.
Yes.
In your
Yeah,
space.
100% it
It's
is. You need
wonderful.
that. You need the balance of the feminine
balance.
and masculine.
You need the balance
Yeah.
because that's how we've
You
been
also
created.
observe, like for some of us, how close we are with our fathers, and to imagine not having that for kids.
Imagine.
Yeah,
That would
no.
be
Yeah, it's not
that
right.
wouldn't work as
And also
strong.
the instincts, the instincts a man has and the instincts a woman has,
Yeah.
they balance.
They
properly
balance
because
out, yes.
they have more of an instinct to help you survive the world.
Yes.
Whereas we have an instinct to protect you and protect
nurture
your heart
you
and
and-
protect your emotions, and they're more like I'll teach you how to survive the world because you're not gonna be in my household forever.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Very, very excellent.
Yeah.
And as we close, now getting a chance to be able to just look back, what would you tell your 15-year-old Sylvia or your 10-year-old Sylvia, at that point where you're just deciding where to work, what to do, what would you tell this girl? Because there are girls out here who I'm sure they're wondering, what would you tell them?
Like maybe I want to get into politics, maybe I want to be an architect, but I don't
But
know.
then that one has balanced both. How would I do it?
Let me tell you, the thing that if I was to speak to my younger self, is about fear. Fear does stop us from doing things. Fear is what stops you from becoming, let me use the word, just becoming. From being who you were put on this earth to be. It's because we are fearful. We are overthinking. If I do this, then what will happen? If I do this. How about the leap of faith? What happened to, let's have faith. For those of us who are very spiritual, you give that leap of faith and you know it will be okay. And if it is not okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'm not saying jump off a cliff that you'll survive. I mean, there's some obvious things.
Calculated risks, please. Calculated risks.
But why we are very fearful even to take those calculated risks when the opportunities present themselves. And many times we are faced with these opportunities and you're so scared to take that step. We have to remind ourselves, what's the worst that can happen? And maybe this is a step you're supposed to take so that the next step can come and the next, and then you're walking to you becoming who you were put here on earth. I have been very fearful most of my life. And I consider myself a late bloomer. My self-awareness has come in my 40s. They say life begins at 40, but there are people who are self-aware earlier. I mean, Beldina here is quite self-aware. By the time she's 40, she'll be scaling heights unbelievable.
You best know.
Yeah.
But very excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's important. That self-awareness is so critical. Yeah. It's because you're not fearful. You understand yourself. So there are certain fears you don't have. Because you understand yourself. You understand your capacities and your capabilities. But here you are, you're not self-aware. So opportunities come, you're like, oh, maybe, no, I'm not sure, Nini. Fear. We have to remove that fear. We have to learn to take the leap of faith. But we have to be spiritual as well. Me, my spirituality is what walks me. On a daily basis, I walk that path without fearing, regardless of the fact that it has come a little late in life. But I'm happy to ride the wave, even at my age.
Someone said courage is not having fear. Is doing it despite the fear.
Exactly.
And this is what you're saying.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
What if it works out?
Yeah.
Everyone
the
is
worst
like,
that
what
can happen?
And if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
what is the worst
What is
that
the
can
worst?
happen?
So you will just go back here and continue here, and another opportunity will present itself. You take a leap there. You know, what is the worst that can happen? Somebody asked me that question once, and I think it was also a mind opener for me. Because they asked me, what's the worst that can happen?
And then they planted a
And then I
seed of
realized,
audacity.
actually, what is the worst that can happen?
Hey, even me now, from now on, D,
What's
is
the
the
worst?
worst? What is the
Just
worst?
do.
You too.
Yeah.
I won't
do,
die.
alafu.
Eh? I like that. And it has been the Ages and Stages podcast. We beg to finish there. I'm sure you're asking for more information. But let me tell you, if you want to learn more about this mental health amendment bill, I've just learned about it. Please check out the bottom. We will have a link in there for you to be able to learn more. And tell us more about what you're experiencing, what you're feeling about mental health. Today, one of the things I've picked up is the definition of mental health. I think when Sylvia was explaining how she went through it as an architect, I was like, oh, you mean mental health means this? And it's strange, D, when I'm thinking about myself and I'm thinking, even in this age and in this day and era, I still need a definition to be able to see it differently and to understand it. It's very strange. And to imagine how many people are feeling this and experiencing this. So leave us a comment, leave us anything, any kind of information that you want to give us. We are always looking for that kind of information. We are available on every podcast channel. Please, if you're looking for us, you'll probably find us. We are available also on YouTube. Follow us on IG, TikTokers, we're still there, doing very, very well. And it has been the Ages and Stages podcast. My name is Beldina Kasanga, and I was here with the lovely
Sylvia Kasanga.
Senator Sylvia Kasanga. She's very modest, she tells you. But you guys, when you meet her, Senator, please. And the one and only
D.
From Things D says.
Yeah.
Thank you and have a fantastic week.